Alrighty, hello. It's my turn. Sorry, I have been failing at getting my videos out on time. Um, I've been Lindy hopping for 2 weekends in a row, so that's been absolutely wonderful, amazing. I just really enjoy dancing a lot, and I'm sure I'll be talking about that in future posts and future vlogs. But for today, I'm gonna do a new segment in my vlog. It's called Jordan's Consumption Corner, and today we're gonna be talking about comic books. All right, so let's talk. Let's kind of separate this into three parts. First thing, my history with comic books. So I love X-Men. I watched the animated series as a kid. I watched a lot of like Power Rangers and like Batman and Scooby Doo. Not really as much Spider Man, but sorry, wobbly table. But I never really got into comic books, and through the years, I've had so many guys. Usually male friends, that's just how it worked out, asked me, hey, have you read this comic book? Or, oh man, have you seen this? And I always sort of alluded to like, oh yeah, well, I probably have seen that or heard of that. No, I haven't heard of anything. I don't know anything about the comics or anything. Not even X Men. I just know it from the X Men animated series. So I'm outing myself on that, but I just never have spent the time to figure out what comics books were, why they were important to me, if they were interesting or not. So now my foray into comic books, in college, all my best friends are talking about this movie coming out called The Watchmen, and so I bought the comic book for that, and I loved it. I thought it was great, but I took a large hiatus, about 6 7 years since then, and then finally I joined a comic book club, and I was like, all right, I'm doing this. So the first book that they had us read was Preacher. Now, before I get into this for a second, why comic books? So as I'm learning, I've read a bunch now. Not a bunch. I've read four different books. Two of them are Preacher, one uh, Watchmen, and then another one called 100 Bullets. And what I'm learning is that comic books are basically adult story time books, and they have adult themes. They have adult ideas. You can go very far down the rabbit hole. I mean, they're exploring morality, and they're exploring good versus evil, and they're exploring just everything: sex, violence, life, the nature of relationships, and just really, really neat. So, why comic books? I think comic books allow you to do something by having, essentially calling them graphic novels, by essentially having a graphic for every single frame of what you're reading and watching. You're hiring people who are incredible artists to create these landscapes of people and locations, and it really, you still add the animation to it, but they're able to do so much to create that for you and to give you a sense of. In one of the Preacher books I just read, there's this character who's insanely large, falls from a helicopter and dies and kills a couple people, and you can see it, you can hear it, the onomatopoeias that they use, just the way that they use angling and lines. So I've been so delighted to see. I think the artist is Steve Dillon. I believe the writer is Garth Ennis. I might have that backwards. Correct me if I do. But to see Steve Dillon illustrate, and to see him, Gus, Gus might be taking a poop upstairs. Okay. Guess Gus was just wanted to sit in my bed. So to see Steve Dillon illustrate, Preacher's just an incredibly visceral, dynamic story. I mean, you have an angel and a demon having a baby. The baby comes to Earth and essentially possesses or becomes a part of this sort of badass preacher guy, hence the name Preacher. He hooks up with a vampire friend and an old love, and he's got a crazy family, and Jesus quit. So that's the story of Preacher. Yeah, yes, Jesus literally quit. The Son of God was like, all right, look, it's been a good run. I don't think I'm going to be the savior of the world anymore. And that's kind of where the story begins. so, so yeah, I guess I'm already talking about Preacher, but I've really enjoyed this. I bought the third book. I actually have no idea how many there are. This is more talking about my personal experience with it, but um, beautiful. I think it's meant to be taken in as an art form. It's meant to be consumed. It's meant to be um, drank like a fine drink of some kind, like a really nice cocktail or a wine. It's meant to be sipped and not, not splurged upon. But at the same point, I find myself just reading these so quickly because they're so delicious as well. So it's kind of like that pizza that you get and you've been hungry all day and you've just been waiting for that first bite and you're savoring it, but you're also annihilating it, sort of like that Netflix binge. Um, so I think comic books are phenomenal, and I think if someone wanted to foray into this world, I would say buy good comic books. I like Preacher because the story is ridiculous. It's truly, absolutely ridiculous. Actually, the funny thing is, it's Paul's favorite series. So I knew that going in, but happened to be the first one this comic book group started reading. So the story is ridiculous, and that allows for just absolutely insane illustration of everything that's happening. I mean, vampires, demons, angels, God, uh, crazy redneck family, just everything. And oh, what's this guy's name? The patron saint of killers. Yeah, patron saint of killers. Like he's this guy who just can't get shot, but he has two revolvers and he just keeps going. And oh, it's just silly. But then from there, I think what this comic book does actually particularly is that opens up this new plane of looking at an issue, right? Um, if right and wrong are no longer the things that matter, then what matters, right? If we kind of take that out of the equation, because we've messed with a bunch of the variables, right? About like who God is and who God isn't, and about mortality and immortality, about when good and evil come together, and then he creates many characters that have dubious intentions, but at the same time have redeeming qualities, much like House of Cards, much like Game of Thrones. You see that in television right now too, and these are stories that have a lot of success. And so, yeah, basically Jordan as comic books, I'm 100%. I also read a book called 100 Bullets, the first book of 100 Bullets. Phenomenal, really good. And they're comic book writers are really good. Like, I mean, I wouldn't say all comic book writers, but like as far as I understand, like these are like the good comic books right now, and like I'm totally spoiled to be able to like start with some of the best comics as I understand it out there. But if you're turned off by comics, or you think, oh, that's not me or something, that's cool. But if you have interest in checking it out, start with Preacher or start with 100 Bullets. I think the next one we're supposed to be reading is called The Invisibles. But I trust these. I mean, they're 2 for 2, like wildly 2 for 2. So I try. That's going to be a great series as well. So yeah, just like great literature, just like great discussion with friends, I think comic books open up an entire new world to explore, to discuss, to debate. I'm really glad I'm in a group of people. Doing this with a group of people that can discuss this to further explore things that I might have missed, because there's a lot going on here. There's references that I have no idea. It's wonderful. So comic books are awesome. Check it out if it seems cool to you. That is Jordan's Consumption Corner. Party on, Wayne. It's my turn. I'm out.